So marketers and developers want a tag management solution that is simple, reliable, secure, and integrates easily with their existing ecosystems. And that is Google Tag Manager.
Exactly. Google Tag Manager acts as the bridge between marketers and developers. It's a tool that helps you collaborate to make sure that you're able to deploy all of the most critical tags for your business needs. There's a variety of use cases for which you might want to consider using Google Tag Manager. Speed. If you want to improve the page load times by firing the tags within Google Tag Manager asynchronously. All tags within Google Tag Manager fire asynchronously in this manner to ensure the best possible performance. Consolidation. You can consolidate and manage tags with powerful editing tools and user permissions to add or edit tags with just a few clicks. Having this consolidated place to manage all of your tags can also help you deploy tags more quickly. And workflow. You can simplify your workflows to ensure that you're able to deploy your tags as quickly as you need with all of the relevant stakeholders involved.
We also want to be able to change tags with ease. We have rules-based triggers and easy-to-use tag templates, as well as auto-event functionality to help you manage tags with as little code as possible. So this works in that you can create or update your tags within the Tag Manager interface, and then deploys those with ease and speed without having to make actual code changes to your site. So we're eliminating a lot of the in-between steps that you would normally have without a tag management system.
Google Tag Manager provides a lot of benefits for you as an organization in deploying all of your measurement and marketing tags. It's safe, reliable, and accurate, and includes a variety of features to help you in this regard. Easy to use debugging tools, error checking, speedy tag loading means you can be confident that every tag you deploy works as it needs to work. You can set up tags to fire one after another with tag sequencing. You can organize those tags into folders, and you can make sure that you're publishing the changes that you want to publish to all of your different testing environments, not just immediately to production. It's also worth noting that all custom HTML tags that are deployed through Google Tag Manager are scanned for malware and paused if any malware is detected. Google Tag Manager also incorporates a variety of features to help with your enterprise workflows. All of your custom environments can be set up, and you can use workspaces to ensure that relevant stakeholders are working on their tagging independently without running into each other. So one team can get their tags for Google Analytics ready, while another team gets their tags for Google Ads ready, and are able to publish their tags to those relevant environments without conflicting. If any conflicts are found, conflict resolution tools are available to help ensure that the tagging is done correctly. So the screen you're seeing right now is the screen that you'll first see when you get started with Google Tag Manager, when you go to tagmanager.google.com or you arrive in the product from one of the links on our marketing pages. So the first thing you'll want to do, if you haven't done so already, is to create an account. We typically recommend one account per company, so I'll name this account something along the lines of my company name. In this case will be Cool Company. And I think I might have an account by this name already, so we'll do Cool Company 1. And press continue. And now we have a container. A container within Google Tag Manager is the entity that contains all of the tags, triggers, and variables, really everything that we're going to want to do with Google Tag Manager to have data flow from one of our properties or multiple properties into various tools. In this case, we'll name this container something after the site where it's going to be located. So we'll do something like www.coolcompany.com. Now, of course, you can have a container that spans multiple websites. In this case, we're just going to use a single website as an example of this, and I'm going to select web. You'll note that you can use Google Tag Manager for other platforms as well, such as iOS and Android on mobile, and accelerated mobile pages as well. So we'll click Create. And after I've reviewed the terms of service, click Yes. And just like that, we've set up our first container inside of Google Tag Manager. Now the screen that pops up contains the container snippet that needs to be implemented on the page. You'll see that there's two parts of this snippet. One part that should be implemented in the head of the page, and a second part that should be implemented in the body. The first portion we recommend to be implemented as high up in the head section of your page as possible. Your development team should be able to help you with this. The next portion, which helps in situations where JavaScript is disabled, should be implemented as high up in the body section as possible. So if you've already passed this step and you need to get back to these container snippets, it's as easy as clicking your container ID in the header bar right here. And there we have, again, the container snippet for the head and the body. So I would take this and copy it and send it to my development team or put it through my ticketing system with my internal product development cycle in order to get this implemented on my website. And that's how easy it is to get started with Google Tag Manager. So when we want to set up a new Google Analytics tag within Google Tag Manager, we can very easily just click this new tag prompt, or we can go to the tag screen to create a new tag there. So we'll click in to create a new tag, and we'll select the tag configuration to choose the tag type. In this case, we'll want to select Google Analytics Universal Analytics. And the default type selected for me, of course, is the page view tag. So this is the tag that you're going to want to deploy on all pages of your site to get the base level of reporting inside of Google Analytics. You'll notice that the second field here is asking me for a Google Analytics settings variable. If you've already set up a Google Analytics settings variable, you'll find it from this dropdown, and all you'll have to do is select it here. If you haven't done so already, you can create a new variable and go through the process of entering your property ID and any other settings that you might want to control centrally, such as custom dimensions, custom metrics, advertising settings, and so on. We'll save this settings variable and make sure that it's named. And now any time in the future that we create a Google Analytics tag, we'll be able to choose this settings variable so we don't have to do this again. From here, all we have to do is apply a trigger, in this case, the default all pages trigger, to choose what pages this tag should fire on. It's worth noting that if you'd like to control the settings for a given Google Analytics tag from within that tag instance, instead of from the centralized Google Analytics settings variable, you can do so by selecting the Enable Overriding Settings option in this tag. And from here, you'll be able to enter in a tracking ID and all of those other settings like fields to set, custom dimensions, and custom metrics. If you've also selected a Google Analytics settings variable, that variable settings will be inherited here, and you can override individual fields as you enter them. Otherwise, if I didn't select one, only the settings entered in this tag will take effect. Once we have all of the settings ready for our Google Analytics page view tag, and we've given it a trigger, we just have to save it, make sure it has a name. In this case, we'll do Google Analytics page view. Save that tag, and once we've published this workspace, we're good to go. Great. So from within your Google Tag Manager container, you'll first want to go to your variables screen. And we're going to create a new user-defined variable for our Google Analytics settings. It's worth noting that you can create this variable in line while you're setting up your Google Analytics tags, but if you do want to set it up ahead of time, you can do it from this variable screen, as we'll show you now. So I'll click to create a new user-defined variable, click into the variable configuration, and we will find our Google Analytics settings variable type. Now this settings variable will act as the central place for all of the settings we need for our various Google Analytics tags, from our page views to our events. So the first thing we'll do is we'll enter in our tracking ID. By default, the cookie domain is set to auto, and we recommend that you keep this as is unless you have special cross-domain settings that you want to absorb here, which you can find more info about in our developer documentation. All of the additional settings that you might be familiar with, such as fields to set, custom dimensions, custom metrics, and so on, can be found under the More Settings menu. So within fields to set, as an example here, if I wanted to use the allow linker parameter for cross-domain tracking, I would enter in allow linker with a value of true. For custom dimensions, I can proceed to add custom dimensions with the relevant index values, such as 1, with a value of sports for page type. If I wanted to, of course, I can also pull in additional values for these custom dimensions and metrics directly from other variables inside of Google Tag Manager, which I can configure here.
And one of the benefits of this centralized settings variable and using this across multiple Google Analytics tags is if you do have an update to any of these things, for example, a custom dimension that you want to add sometime later, adding it in here will automatically add that to every tag that you're firing for Google Analytics.
Exactly. So this really is a central place to manage all of these settings. Now, once I've gone through and I've selected all of the settings that I want for the initial set of Google Analytics tags, all I have to do is save this and give it a name, and I will maybe say that this is my primary Google Analytics settings, and I'll save this. It's worth noting that you can create multiple sets of Google Analytics settings. So if I had different sites that I was managing tagging across, or if I had a development environment with different sets of custom dimensions and metrics or a different property ID, I could handle that with a different Google Analytics settings variable. And we'll be able to use this settings variable later as we set up more Google Analytics tags. Great. So from within Google Tag Manager, we can create a new tag by clicking on the new tag box or going to the tags screen. We'll first set up a Google Ads conversion tag. So I'll click to create a new tag, and under tag configuration, I'll select a Google Ads conversion tag. Here, I'll want to enter in the relevant conversion ID, conversion label, and other values from the Google Ads interface. In this case, I'll enter in some values just to demonstrate how this is done. Once we've filled out the rest of these fields, we'll choose where we want this tag to fire. In this case, I could choose all pages, but I'll actually create a trigger for certain page views. Page URL contains thankyou.html, and we'll make this our thank you pages trigger. Now, when I save and publish this tag, it'll fire this Google Ads conversion on all of our thank you pages. The next thing I'll want to do, as we previously mentioned, is to set up a conversion linker tag. Within Google Tag Manager, I can go to create another new tag. From the tag configuration, I'll choose a conversion linker tag. And here, there really are no required options. I can essentially, from the triggering, choose to deploy this on all pages and save this tag, publish, and I'll be good to go. If I want to, within that conversion linker tag, there are some options available to me. I can override certain settings for the cookies that are written and read by the conversion linker and the relevant Google Ads tags. This conversion linker tag will identify relevant ad click information on landing page and store that ad click information in first-party cookies so that it can be read later on by our Google Ads conversion tags. Once I have the conversion linker tag in place across my entire site, I should be good to go with all of the Google Ads conversions. It's worth noting you only need one conversion linker per site, per container for a standard implementation. If I have another container on my site, I don't need to have multiple conversion linkers, but there shouldn't be any harm in doing so.